schedule. Like,
it's unfair.
Hey,
Somebody at Park Avenue, they really hating on the Steelers.
what dude from Cleveland all of a sudden got a job in the league office? To think that you have to play the Ravens twice, the Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, and then the Eagles and the Chiefs, right? A team that won the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. A team that was in the Super Bowl a year before. You have to play those teams to finish the season when the end of the season is where we've seen the Steelers find ways to compete. It's the beginning of the season when they suck.
Man, oh man, there is just so much going on around this Pittsburgh Steelers team, with camps around the corner, the schedule just releasing, and everything that comes along with bringing in 2 completely brand new quarterbacks, and really just overall making a ton of changes. I think that some people really need to slow down, because all I hear every day is that Justin Fields should start or something about Russell Wilson, when it is way too early to make those judgments. I think the Steelers front office and coaching staff has been handling everything pretty well, and I'm going to talk about all of it. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are now on the road to 30k subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so let's start out with the schedule that was just recently released, because it almost feels like the NFL did this team dirty. They have a somewhat easy start to the year, but after that, they pretty much play all AFC North teams, along with the Chiefs and the Eagles. Just brutal, and they're gonna have to find a way to go 500 through that stretch, and if they do, they are gonna be in great shape. Usually, I feel like the NFL is for the Steelers, and as a Browns fan, I of course usually feel like the refs slight the game in their favor, but this is the first time in a while where I'm like, man, they kinda got screwed over. But I still think this team is starting to come together with all the additions they made and drafted over the last few years. I feel like they are starting to make a turn to get back to some of that dominance they used to have. And now I want to go through and predict the schedule game by game. Starting off in week 1, the Steelers will head into Atlanta to face the Falcons. Atlanta is an interesting team with the fact that they also have a completely new QB room this season with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. But overall, this is a young team, and I don't think they match up well with the Steelers, so I think it's going to be close because it's week 1, but ultimately, the Steelers leave with a win and start out 1-0. Next up, they go to Denver, which usually is a pretty tough place to play for AFC North teams on the road. Obviously, they could win this game. I think they have the roster and are better coached, but I think because of the elevation, the Broncos are going to stay in it, and I think Bo Nix makes a few electric plays to win the game late in the 4th. And then the Steelers will come home with a 1-1 record for their home opener against the Chargers. To me, the Chargers aren't going to be a very good team this year, and the front office basically stated they won't be by trading away all of Justin Herbert's weapons. So at home opener, I like Pittsburgh in this game to get the job done to go 2-1. Next up, the Steelers face the Colts on the road again. I guess one thing that is nice for Pittsburgh is that a lot of their easier games are on the road, and they get to play the tough ones at home. I think that is going to help them out a lot. And I'm not saying the Colts are an easy team. They should have made the playoffs last year, but with a rookie QB in Richardson, I think the Steelers go into Lucas Oil Stadium and win a close game because of their defense. Then in week 5, the Dallas Cowboys come into town. And I know everyone loves to troll this team, but I think they will put up way too much offense for the Steelers to match. I know the Steelers have a great defense, but I think this is one of those games where CeeDee Lamb goes off and Dak throws for over 400 yards. Anyways, moving on to week 6 against the Raiders in Vegas, I think the Raiders are going to have a messy year once again, and I don't think Pittsburgh will have any trouble handling business, especially after losing to the Cowboys the week before. Tomlin will light a fire under them, and all will be good. So now with a 4-2 record, the Steelers will face the Jets at home. I'm not really sure what to think about the Jets. I really like some of the players they have. I love Garrett Wilson, but Aaron Rodgers is old, is coming off a major injury. I think TJ Watt will wreak havoc, and the Steelers win this game once again with no problem. And after this, there's going to be a ton of hype around this team. But then the brutal stretch begins to start after a few more games. In week 8, the Giants come into Pittsburgh. I'm not a big fan of their QB situation. I think the Steelers have the better team, so they go 6-2. Same goes for the Commanders. They are just way too early in their rebuild. I think the Steelers win again to go 7-2. I think this season will kind of have the vibes of 2020. I think they have a great record to start at 7-2, but I think they're going to be ugly, and it's not going to truly feel like they've been dominant. In week 10, the Ravens come into Pittsburgh, and even though I'm not a big Ravens guy, during the regular season, Lamar Jackson is so unbelievable, and I think he humbles this team and puts them at 7-3. And then after that, they have to go over to the Dog Pound, and I think that is also an L, because this team has struggled over there the past few years, and the Browns just have such a dominant defense, and probably will have Nick Chubb back by then. So now with a 7-4 record, the Steelers will have to head into Cincinnati, another very tough divisional opponent with a tough environment to play in. I also think this is a loss, and this is the point where the fan base will start to think about Fields, and there could even be chance to get him on the field. But then the Browns come into town, and we all know the Browns can't win in Pittsburgh. It just doesn't happen. So I think they get a huge and relieving bounce back win to go 8-5 and still keep their dreams alive of winning the North. But after this, Pittsburgh will have to go back on the road to face Philly in one of the toughest environments in the league, and I don't think they have enough firepower to get it done. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are just too good. So with an 8-6 record, the Steelers will then go into Baltimore, and this is a completely wild prediction, but this just has the Steelers game type of feel to it. I think the weather will be crappy, people will be slipping and falling, and I think a fluke turnover will somehow win Pittsburgh the game by 3 points to go 9-6. Then after this, the Chiefs come to Pitt to play one of the biggest games of the season. I'm not sure how good of a regular season Kansas City is going to have, but by this point, they will be ramping up for the playoffs. They're going to be playing near perfect football, so I have them winning this game to put the Steelers at 9-7 and removing any chance they had of winning the division. Then in week 18, in a game to make the playoffs, the Steelers will host the Bengals. I think the Bengals will already be eliminated by this point, so they will be playing the second stringers, and the Steelers will grind out a win to go 10-7 and make it to the wild card game. And then from there, really anything can happen. I think they will have a much improved offense in 2024, so they're not going to be a cakewalk for whoever they face, as long as TJ Watt doesn't get injured. Let me know in the comments below what you agree and disagree with for my predictions, what you think their final record is going to be, and also just what you are expecting to see this season from the new QB room and guys they brought in over free agency. I really do think this team has the talent and coaching to be an 11 or 12 win team this season, but the schedule is just so brutal. But I think they will be battle tested and ready to win by the time the postseason comes. That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, follow me on Instagram, because I'm posting tons of cool sports content on there every single day. And until next time, I will see you all later.